What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes, and we have scores as well. The way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man, once you pick them, you can't pick them for the remainder of the season, and it's 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And let's get into the first game. We've got a full midweek schedule of the Premier League, and first up is Wolves against Crystal Palace. Sim has gone 2-1 to Wolves. I've gone for 1-1. I mean, my thinking behind it, I think both these teams are actually coming into it in good form, but I think Wolves, they are capable of a poor performance and a poor result, as you saw on the weekend against Leicester, as you saw a few weeks ago against Leeds. Since Roy Hodgson has come in, I think Palace have been really good, but I got a feeling that these two teams just might cancel each other out a bit, so I've gone for 1-1.
Yeah, I think these two teams probably can't come into this now a bit lifted from the burden of maybe impending relegation. They've kind of got themselves out of it a bit. So I do see maybe both teams maybe a bit more open potentially in this game. I think Wolves at home with the home advantage, I think they'll see this as an opportunity to go get 3 points. So I expect them to go for the win. I think Palace, a few maybe against Everton, a few maybe cracks showing after a brilliant start from Roy Hodgson. So I've gone for Wolves at home for the home advantage to take the win.
All right, let's move on. Aston Villa against Fulham. Both gone for the exact same scoreline here, 3-1. What's your thinking?
Yeah, Villa obviously is still in great form. I know they drew on the weekend away at Brentford, but still keeps their unbeaten run going. We know Fulham, albeit they have won their last two, and I think they'll probably come into this thinking that, you know, they're in good form now after 5 consecutive losses before that. But I think that actually, in a way, could play into Villa's hands, because I think they would like it if Fulham are a bit open coming into this game, and I think they'll exploit the spaces Fulham leave. And I can see Fulham now to the end of the season, they might win some games, might lose some games, but obviously they're not really, they're safe, they're not going to go for Europe. So I think at this point Villa have got the motivation, so I've gone for a 3-1 win for Villa.
Yeah, I mean, Villa are really performing strong at the moment, and at home they haven't conceded a goal in their last 4 games, impressively enough, even keeping a clean sheet against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, in a very impressive victory. Fulham, they have got 2 wins, but I just got a feeling Villa have got a lot more to play for at the moment than Fulham, and they're playing really well. So I think Villa will sweep aside Fulham fairly comfortably this weekend. Next up is Leeds against Leicester, a big clash down at the bottom. We've both gone for score draws here. I've gone for 2-2. And I can see this being a really open game, but I think there might be a few nerves coming into it for both teams. Both of them are really fighting for their lives at the moment. So I think it'll be a really good game of football, end-to-end stuff. But again, I couldn't really split them.
Yeah, I couldn't, but I've gone for loads of goals. If you look at the last game that Leicester played home to Wolves, they started with Tete, Vardy, Daka, and Iheanacho, and Maddison is probably going to be fit for this game after coming from illness, so put him in that lineup as well. That makes it a very attacking lineup. They did get a win, so they'll come into this in a bit of confidence, and I think it's Dean Smith's now 3rd game in charge, so this is a massive game. They need all 3 points, Leicester, in this game. Leeds, on the other hand, as well. They're coming into this in wretched form, 4 defeats in the trot. But if they don't get a win in this game, I'm struggling to see where a win's coming from. The next games, Bournemouth away, they then go to the Etihad, then they've got Newcastle at home, then they go to the Olympic Stadium, and then they finish the season with Tottenham. So apart from beating Spurs, like, I don't see too many other wins for Leeds in those games.
I think that West Ham one could be a 3 point. I mean, West Ham should be safe by then, and that game against Bournemouth is going to be massive.
I think this one is a massive one. I think they have to. Look, Ellen Road against a team currently in 17th, 1 point behind them. They have to go all out for a win here. So I see loads of goals. I see both teams really being very offensive and going for all 3 points, and that's why I've gone for 3-3.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Both
going to be loads of
defences
goals.
are terrible, though.
Absolutely, especially Leeds. Oh my God. But let's move on to Forest against Brighton. Sim has gone for 2-0 to Brighton. Why is that?
Yeah, Brighton, off the back of a FA Cup semi-final where they were very unlucky in my book to not get through to the final. I thought they probably were the better team against Man United throughout the 90 minutes. But though I back them to shake off that disappointment, continue to push for a European spot. They're playing so well. Away from home or at home, they keep playing the same way. They're not phased. And I think Nottingham Forest coming to this game in wretched form. Even at home, they've seemed to have lost their form. And I think they're really going to struggle. I know know they gave Liverpool a good game, but they were lucky that it was 3-2. It could have been a very different result. So I think Brighton are going to outplay them here. And I think as well, they've added in Cisco in now, Ciso into their attack. And it's kind of given them something different as opposed to maybe it was going a bit stale before that. I think he's added an extra element of vibrancy in that attack. So I've gone for a 2-0 win to Brighton.
Yeah, I've got a bit of different thinking here. I've gone for 1-1. I actually feel like that game against Liverpool might give Nottingham Forest a bit of confidence. Yes, I know Liverpool battered them, but they did keep replying and keep coming back. They did that twice, ultimately did lose the game 3-2. But they are on wretched form. No wins for a while now, 4 losses in a row. And Brighton, I just got a feeling that that semi-final was the biggest games probably in their recent history, and for them to lose it on penalties, I think it might have knocked a bit out of them a tiny bit. So I think they might actually start a bit sluggish in this game. And Nottingham Forest, they have been good at home all season, so I've just got a feeling that Nottingham Forest might nick a point in this game. So I've just gone for 1-1. Next up is Chelsea against Brentford. Low scoring, both of us have gone here. I've gone for 1-0 to Brentford. Chelsea not playing well whatsoever at the moment. They're getting beaten every game. They're not scoring any goals. Brentford, on the other hand, not playing well at all either, to be honest. But I just think that Brentford just have that bit more about them at the moment, with Ivan Toney up top, with Thomas Frank as manager. They've had a good season, so I think at Stamford Bridge they're going to take all 3 points.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game and I was trying to pick a winner or even a goal scorer, and I just think both teams coming into this on low confidence. Both teams no wins in 5. Frank hasn't taken a point, let alone a win. So I think that I can't see Chelsea turning up against Brentford and getting the win. Brentford, on the other hand, they're 10th.
When you said Frank, I didn't know if you meant Frank Lampard or Thomas Frank.
No, Frank Lampard, not Frank. Yeah, fair point. It's 10th versus 11th. I think both teams are not. I think both teams from now to the end of the season are pretty much know that's where they're going to finish, and I think they're both going to cancel each other out. And I do see a drab game. Brentford are quite defensively solid, so I can't see Chelsea breaking them down. On the other hand, Brentford can be good going forward, but Chelsea actually decent defensively as well. So conceded less goals than Arsenal this season, unbelievably. So I've gone for 0-0.
All right, next up, West Ham against Liverpool in a big game at the London Stadium. Sim's gone for 4-2 to Liverpool. Gone for a big one.
Yeah, look, West Ham are full of confidence right now, aren't they? They're into a European semi-final. They've just beaten Bournemouth 4-0 away from home. They've three unbeaten in their last. They're 3 unbeaten on the trot, and they've won 3 of their last 5. So they're playing quite well right now. But Liverpool, on the other hand, they're prime for this kind of game, in my opinion, because I think West Ham are going to fancy themselves to cause Liverpool some trouble, and I think Liverpool are really going to exploit them because they're kind of with their new way of playing with Trent coming into midfield. Their last couple of games, they look quite electric going forward, and they're really finding no trouble opening up teams. And it's almost as if at the moment, doesn't matter what front three they play, they got Gakpo, Salah, Nunez, Jota, all firing right now, and I think West Ham are really going to struggle to contain them, but I do think West Ham will get some joy because they're playing quite well in high confidence. So I see a high scoring game, and I've gone 4-2 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I went for 2-1 to Liverpool. If it was at Anfield, I probably would have agreed with you, and I would have gone for a comprehensive Liverpool victory. But because it's at the London Stadium, Liverpool's away form has been wretched all season. Yes, they did just have a very convincing win away at Leeds, but Leeds are just falling over for every team at the moment. So I'm not going to read too much into that. But I definitely take your point in terms of their front three really clicking and really playing well at the moment. But that doesn't seem to be the case away from home, let's be honest, for the most part. So
apart from their last game.
Yeah, apart from the one game against Leeds, who open up for everyone. So, I mean, Crystal Palace scored 5 goals against them. So, I mean, when you're looking at West Ham, they are on really good form. They just took a really good point against Arsenal, coming back from 2-0 down. So I feel like they will give Liverpool a really good game, but I just feel Liverpool might just get over the line and nick the win. So I've gone for 2-1 to Liverpool. Now, next up is the big one. Manchester City against Arsenal. Sim's gone for 3-2 to Man City. I've gone for 3-1 to Man City. And I think this will be somewhat convincing. I do think Arsenal will start the game well. Might even go 1-0 up in the early stages. But I think quality and class will shine through in this game. And I think as well at some point during maybe halfway through the second half or something, it could implode a little bit for Arsenal with the young team, and maybe even get a sending off or something like that when the game is getting away from them. So I'm going for Man City to win this game fairly convincingly, 3-1.
Yeah, I think Arteta will have a plan going into this game because they knew how they did get thoroughly outclassed at the Emirates, and I think he will have studied that game and trying to see where he can exploit this City team, because this new way of playing with Stones midfield, no one's kind of figured out how to truly get the best of this side. But Arteta's a clever tactician; he'll know how Guardiola wants to play. So I do expect him to come with a specific plan, but I just think their back line right now is very, very weak, and it's not going to be strong enough to hold out City's front line. Rob Holding is just not good enough to be able to compete with these players at this level, and I think he's proven it over the last 3 games. And I think that's where they're going to come unstuck. And I do see Arsenal going forward, and I think Martinelli and Saka could have real good opportunities because with City playing that back 3, I really think Martinelli and Saka can have some joy, but I just see City edging it in a really entertaining game, and I think this could be a massive blow for the title race for Arsenal if they do end up getting a defeat, because I'll make it 1 point with 2 games in hand for City.
Yeah, and I got a feeling if Man City do win this game quite convincingly, I can see a big drop off from Arsenal from now to the end of the season, and it can be quite a big gap come the end of the season for the league title.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's move on. Everton against Newcastle. We've both gone for Newcastle wins. I've gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Newcastle. What are you thinking, 3-1?
Yeah, I think Newcastle are on really good form. I know they've they lost to Villa, but I think they bounced back in the perfect way, absolutely battering Spurs. We couldn't have been any easier to play opponents, to be honest. So I think there's a caveat there, but I think they'll definitely give them the confidence they need to go into this game thinking they're definitely going to win. Isaac is in great form. Everton are just really struggling to score goals now, and they're now 5 games without a win. And there's got to be some sort of alarm bells ring, because Deitch, when he first took over, was pretty solid, and they were consistently getting decent results, but no win in 5 into the relegation zone. I think Everton fans might start to panic quite soon, whether they actually are, whether he is going to be capable of keeping them up at this point, because the goals have really badly dried up for them, and they're starting to be quite leaky at the back. I think the big alarm bells, the red flag, was that 3-1 defeat to Fulham a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. When that happened, they were like, okay, maybe this is a big issue now. Yeah. And I think Newcastle, the way they're flying at the moment, even if they put in someone like Wilson, if Isaac's tired, he's playing really well. Their squad are stepping up, and I think they're going to come into this game in confident mood, so I can see more misery for Everton.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same, to be honest, but I just didn't go for extra goal after that 3-1 defeat at home against Fulham, after what their home form has been fairly good since Sean Dyche has come in, to be fair. Big victories against the likes of Brentford, Leeds, Arsenal, draws against Spurs. I think Dyche will have a plan for Newcastle, and he will set up to very much frustrate them. But I just think Newcastle are playing too well at the moment, and they will get over the line with a 2-1 victory. Next up, Southampton against Bournemouth. A massive clash down at the bottom. Sim's gone for 2-0 to Southampton. I've gone for 2-1 to Southampton. And Bournemouth, they were impressing a lot of people in the last few weeks. But last week was a big letdown. What was it? 4-0 loss.
Yeah, on Sunday.
Against Leicester. Who was
West Ham.
Against West Ham, sorry. Which was, to be honest, completely out of the blue, I thought. And I think that coming into this game, Southampton just desperately need the 3 points. They are sitting rock bottom of the league. They look like they are playing, they had a good performance against Arsenal last time out, which probably will give them confidence. So I'm going for them to sneak 3 points here against Bournemouth.
Yeah, me too. I think at home, with that confidence boosting draw, I know they let it slip in the last minute, and they'll probably be reeling from that. But I do think they'll take heart in the way they were able to score 3 goals at the Emirates and actually had a really good performance. And I think Bournemouth, they've got to be careful, because they might, after their victory a couple of weeks ago against Spurs, they might have been lulled into a false sense of security in terms of do they believe they're now destined for safety? And maybe that defeat against West Ham, 4-0 at home, which is very unlike Bournemouth, was evidence of them getting a bit too comfortable. Because if they do, they still need a few more points to guarantee it. They're on 33 points. They're nearly there. They do need a few more just to make sure they're going to be safe. So they've got to be careful, and I think Southampton might take advantage of that. And I think at home, off the back of that result of the Emirates, I can see them getting a victory.
All right. Next up, Tottenham against Manchester United. Sim's gone for 2-2. Wow.
Yeah, 2-2. Ryan Mason's first game in charge. Look, I think it's more to do with Man United have a lot of injuries at the back. They have really bad away form as well. They're obviously very good going forward with Rashford and good form. But without Rashford, they do seem to be struggling at the moment for goals. But Rashford is going to be fit, so I've gone for him to get on the score sheet. But I do think there has to be some sort of reaction with Mason in charge now from Tottenham. I don't think it's going to be like we're going to play amazingly, but I do think hopefully he'll have a way of getting us more on the ball, more on the front foot, and I think hopefully we can get a couple of goals, especially with the quality we have up against a makeshift United backline. So I've gone for 2-2, but 2-2 won't be enough for us.
Yeah, I've gone for a 3-1 loss, to be honest. I'm just so down in the dumps with Spurs at the moment. I mean, we're just terrible at the moment. We really are. And after that loss against Newcastle, I'm struggling to see where any sort of points or confidence is going to come from to take it to this Manchester United side. And I think our defence is just going to be way too open to battle the likes of Rashford and Martial and Anthony, albeit Bruno is probably going to miss the game, but they will have Eriksen there. So look, I've got no confidence that we can take anything from this game. So I've gone for 3-1 to Manchester United. Let's look at the star men now. Sim's gone for Kelechi Iheanacho.
Away at Leeds, he's scored 2 in 2 now. And they've got this new system now, Dean Smith, with all these Leicester attackers. So I think it's prime for him to have a good game. And I think he's having a decent season overall anyway. And I think, 2 goals in his last 2 games. So I've backed him to have a good game away at Leeds in an open game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I've gone for Alexander Isak, who's scored 4 goals in his last 4 games for Newcastle. He really is announcing himself in the Premier League. Very, very good striker, top talent. So I expect that he will get a goal or 2 away at West Ham. Away at who they playing?
They're playing away at Everton.
Everton.
I was going to go for Isak, to be honest, but then I thought Southampton at home next week. I'm going to wait.
Fair enough.
Away a week.
Fair enough. But that is my star man. That is our Predict the Prem. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding any of the predictions and put your predictions in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.